What's good, Tamers? This is Akaro from Lockout Games bringing you a BT-10 match. On the left we have Blue Flare, and on the right we have Full Power Shoutmon, as this video was made before the banned and restricted list. So on the left we see a Gaussmon being digivolved in the back row, and then a Blazing Memory Boost being played that's going to set the Shoutmon player to 5. Passing over the turn, Shoutmon is going to hatch Pikmons in the back row and then Digivolve Starmons on top of that. This is going to get them started on their cross-heart Digimon that they need. And then playing a Taikikudo using 3 out of the 5 memory. Looks like they're going to be able to pull the Green Tamer and then put a Shoutmon underneath the Taiki. Still having 2 memory left, they're going to play the Zenjiro, setting up their Tamers in the backfield, and that's going to let them play the Ballistamon, which is going to gain them 1 memory, keeping their turn, and then they're going to play the Akari. So Shoutmon is really going to want to set up the Tamers early on, and each of them is able to pull out a Digimon, so they're going to have some positive effects for playing those Tamers. We do see the Gaussmon swinging in the Baby-Damon, drawing them 1 card because there was 2 Digimon, and Ballistamon is going to block, but that is going to kill the Gaussmon, and that's going to let them play the Greymon from their hand. Blue Flare has a lot of abilities that let it search through the deck and pull the pieces it needs, and speaking of which, we see a Metal Greymon now hitting the field. This is going to Digicross with Male Birdramon and the Greymon that was previously played. It does have Rush, so it is going to be able to attack this turn, only costing 3 memory from the Digicross. So with 2 Digimon on Shoutmon's side of the field, they are going to pop the memory boost, setting them up to 2, and then swinging in. So they are going to swing into the Ballistamon. That is going to unsuspend because there were 2 Digimon on the field, and then making the Dolulamon not be able to attack or block next turn. And that's really the strategy that you want to use with Blue Flare against Shoutmon, is not necessarily destroying the Digimon, but leaving them on the field so that they have to spend them in Digicross and not be able to get free attacks from them. Metal Greymon is going to get deleted, hitting a Shoutmon X4, and with no blue Tamers on the Blue Flare player side of the field, they're not going to be able to save any of those Digivolution sources. So to finish off the turn, they play a Blazing Memory Boost, and it looks like they still weren't able to hit a Tamer, which is really going to hurt. They are going to be able to go up to 3, but swinging in with the Starmons, the Shoutmon player does hit a Kariha, and that is going to help out the Blue Flare player, but we do see the Shoutmon X5 hitting the field. This SR is super powerful. It is able to block, it is able to do security attack +1, and you're just getting so much value off of it, and it looks like they're able to put almost the full complement of Digicross Digimon underneath of it. Seems like the only thing they might be missing is the Sparamon, but that's going to be okay, as it's still going to be their turn, and they are going to be able to get that Shoutmon underneath of it, so that is going to have Rush for this turn. And this is really what the deck wants to do, play these Digimon for super cheap and then use the Tamers to get bonus effects. So it is going to swing in, drawing another card, and swinging for 2. First swing is going to hit an Ice Wall, which is going to set the memory down to 0, and then the second hitting a Metal Greymon, which isn't going to affect it as it is at 10k. And then they're just going to play another Darulamon just right off of the Tamer, setting up another turn where they're going to be able to go into a good Digicross Digimon. We see the Gaussmon being digivolved into the back row, and then a Rattlestar. So this is going to cost 5, and it is going to bounce the X5 into the Shoutmon player's hand. And the most important thing is it's going to get rid of the Digivolution sources, which is what Blue Flare really wants to do in this matchup, as keeping those sources underneath of a Tamer is what's going to let them keep playing X4 and X5 and just getting a whole bunch of bonus from that. Finishing off their turn, they're going to play another Howling Memory Boost, and that's going to keep the Dolulamon from attacking. We see Sparamon being digivolved onto the back row, and then from there a Ballistamon just being played directly for 4. This is going to set off the Tamers and draw the Shoutmon player 2 cards and also give them 1 memory from the Green Tamer. So they are able to continue their play, and they go into another Shoutmon X5. They are going to be able to play some more cards underneath of it to make this cheaper, and it looks like this time they have the full complement. So X5 is going to come out for 0. Be able to attack because it has the Shoutmon underneath of it, check 2 security, and then have reboot and be able to block this turn. So you can see how powerful Digicross really is, but it does hit a V-Wing Blade as the first thing, and that's just going to send it right back to the hand. The Digivolution sources are going to go to the trash, but they do have their turn still, as they are at 0 memory and can really just threaten at this point the game with 2 Digimon. But it looks like they're going to go for a Hero of the Skies and draw some cards from that, setting the Blue Flare player to 2, but then the memory resetter is going to leave them at 3. Gaussmon gets promoted, and it looks like they're thinking whether or not they want to pop the memory boost, and they do, going to 5. Gaussmon is going to swing in, not drawing any cards, and it does hit a Sunrise Buster. This is for sure going to get rid of it, as they're going to be able to play a yellow tamer from their hand, and that's just really going to keep them set up for any other cross-heart Digimon they want to play. A Melbergermon is going to hit the field on the Blue Flare player side. They're going to pick up the Metal Greymon and then go into a Greymon from there, leaving them at 1 memory. And at this point, they are able to go into the Metal Greymon. It is going to have Rush, but it looks like they want to play the Vmon, representing a wider board, and maybe just hoping that the Sparrowmon isn't able to finish off the security, and then a Rush Digimon being played from hand with a Digicross effect. But we do see a Zenjiro hitting down on the field. It is going to get them 2 memory, leaving them at 1, but drawing them 3 cards. And this is where setting up the Tamers early really helps Shoutmon. So we do see the Sparrowmon swinging in, and it is going to get saved. And if they have it, yep, that's going to be the X5. It is going to have Rush, and they have the full complement of Crossheart Digimon, so it is only going to cost 0 memory, which is amazing. They are going to swing in, and with no blockers, that's going to be game number 1. Blue Flare is going to start off game number 2 by hatching a Babydemon and then going into a Gaussmon, and I feel that going first against Shoutmon is pretty important, especially if you're playing Blue Flare, as giving your opponent a whole bunch of memory doesn't really hurt you, as they are very memory efficient, and they really just want to get a decent amount of Tamer set up in the beginning. Speaking of which, we do see the Taiki Kudo being set down, and they are going to get the cards that they need. Looking at the top 4, we do see an X4 going into their hands, but if you notice, they do have 2 Tamers already on the field and have a Ballistamon. But at this point, Blue Flare is set up with a Memory Tamer, and they do have a Gaussmon that's going to swing in. So it can be blocked, and it is, and Gaussmon is going to get deleted, but that is going to let the Blue Flare player play a Greymon, looking at the top 4 and really fixing their hand. So applying early pressure is what you really need, and getting those searches with the free Digimon plays that you have from Gaussmon. And Howling Memory Boost hits the field, so this is going to freeze Ballistamon, and then they just go ahead and play a Gaussmon straight from the hand. So as a Blue Flare player, don't be afraid to just play a whole bunch of Digimon from your hand, as most of them have really good on-play effects, or in this case, Gaussmon is going to be set up to really just go into security, possibly get deleted, but let you play another source that you need for looking through your deck, or a Metal Greymon. Sparrowmon swings in and takes care of the Greymon because it was suspended and can be attacked this turn. So after drawing a card, we do see a Shoutmon being played for 3, picking up some more sources that it needs for Digicross, and then an X4 being played directly after that. It's going to be decently cheap, as there's 3 sources underneath of it, and it's only going to cost 3 memory, so it's not going to be able to attack this turn, but they are set up in a strong position. Blue Flare is going to Digivolve into a Madoki Betamon in the back row. Not really a big deal for this game, because there's not a lot of things giving memory to the Shoutmon player that aren't actually Tamers. We do see a Kumamon being Digivolved on top of the Kuriha, so looks like they are going to maybe want to build a stack on top of that, and the Gaussmon swings in, and it's actually not going to get deleted for this, so that is just going to be a nice swing that they can have for free. And then we see a Metal Greymon being played, so it's only going to cost 3, but we do see a red Greymon being put underneath that. This is just going to be a tech card, so now the Metal Greymon is going to be at 10k. Just a better chance for it to survive while swinging in, and it is going to get the bonus from the Melbergermon, as there were 2 Digimon on the field when it swung in, so it is going to freeze the X4, not letting it block or attack, and this is going to be very important, as it does have 3 Digivolution sources underneath, and now Sparrowmon is the only one that's going to be underneath a Tamer. And then we see the Kuriha being placed in the back row, setting the Shoutmon player to 4, but right now they're not able to attack with their strong Digimon on the field, so this leaves 3 Digimon over on the Blue Flare player side of the field, and we do see a Zenjiro being played. This is going to allow a Ballistamon to be played from hand. That's going to get them 2 memory, so setting them back at 3 and getting them a blocker. And then another Shoutmon hitting the field. They're going to look at the top 4. They're going to take the Zenjiro and then go ahead and place the other cards underneath. That is going to set the Blue Flare player to 3. So with 4 Digimon out right now, they are able to swing in with the Madoki Betamon. The Ballistamon is going to block that, but they are going to get to draw a card from that. So really just sacrificing a rookie so that they can draw a card. And then we see the 10k Metal Greymon swinging in. Once again, with 2 Digimon on the field, it's going to swing into Ballistamon and just lock down that X4. So at this point, it's staying on the field and it's not really being able to be used for a whole bunch. And then a Blazing Memory Boost is going to be dropped. It is going to set the Shoutmon player to 2, and they are going to be able to kind of set up their hand. Blue Flare might be playing a little cautious. They don't want to swing in with the Kumamon because it doesn't have a way of saving any of the Digivolution sources underneath of it. And right now, they probably didn't want to play a card from Galmon being destroyed. So it looks like they're just going to set up for a big turn next turn. We do see Shoutmon going into a Zenjiro that is going to let them play a Ballistamon from underneath their Tamer. This is going to get them a blocker and 3 memory total. So really only playing that Tamer for 1. A pretty solid move. And it looks like they're going to go into an X5. So they're going to still have a blocker, but now their attack options are a lot stronger as it does have security attack +1. And it looks like they're able to put 4 Digimon underneath of it. So it is going to land them back at 0 memory. Digicross being a very strong effect. And now the question is, do they want to attack? It looks like they are going to swing in, and they are going to get a whole bunch of triggers from that. The Dorulamon is going to reduce the security by 2k, and they are actually just going to swing into the Metal Greymon. Metal Greymon sources are going to be saved, but it looks like X5 is going to hit a Gaussmon, and then a Sora and a Joe. So this is going to be a really good card for Blue Flare on the upcoming turns. X5 does have reboot due to the Sparrowmon when they pass the turn over to the Blue Flare player, which they're going to Digivolve into a Vmon in the back row. And let's see how they choose to attack this. So they are going to go with the Gaussmon, and that is going to trigger their Tamer. Looks like they're going to get rid of the bottom 2 sources of X5. So that's going to be a Shoutmon and a Sparrowmon. And once again, that is how Blue Flare has to deal with Shoutmon, and it is going to swing in, hitting a Starmon. So that's actually going to delete the Gaussmon and allow them to play a Greymon from their hand. Once again, looking at the top 4 and pulling the Blue Flare cards that they need. They are still at 3 memory as they haven't spent anything just yet, and they do have their memory boost in the back, which they are going to pop that to go up to 5. So we're probably expecting a Greymon play at this point. The Digimon being able to freeze up to 3 Digimon if you Digicross that have less sources or equal sources to the Metal Greymon, and with 2 it is going to be able to freeze the X5. With Shoutmon still having 2 Digimon on the field, when Metal Greymon swings in, the Male Birdramon effect is going to trigger again, and that is going to let them freeze the X4. So you can see this constant freezing of the Digimon on the Shoutmon player side of the field keeps them from taking those sources and putting them underneath the Tamers, which is going to make other X4 and X5s that much cheaper to play, and really puts a dent in the main strategy of the deck. So we do see a Decker Greymon being digivolved on top of the Metal Greymon, and it looks like they're actually going to put the Blue Greymon underneath. So that is going to allow them to swing in and unsuspend, and they're going to hit a Taiki Kudo for the first hit. They are going to, it looks like, pull the Shoutmon, and they put that underneath the Yellow Tamer. But now the Decker Greymon is going to be able to swing in again and really doesn't have to worry about being swung over on the next turn because both of those Digimon are now frozen and really not able to do a whole bunch. And then we see a Howling Memory Boost to just get rid of more sources from the X4, which is going to get rid of a Shoutmon and a Starmons, and that's really painful for the Shoutmon player, as having Rush on pretty much any Digimon that you play is going to be very important and is kind of a key factor for the deck being able to do as much damage as it can. So they're going to unsuspend all of their Digimon and their Tamers. They do need to mount some sort of defense, as there are a lot of Digimon on the Blue Flare player side of the field, and they only have 1 security left. We do see a Zenjiro being played. This is going to let them play a blocker and gain 4 memory, as well as drawing a card with the Yellow Tamer. And continuing their turn, we see a Hero of the Skies. Because they have the Shoutmon, they are able to activate both effects, but with the X5 and the X4 not being able to attack, that security attack +1 really isn't great. So they look like they're trying to get through their deck. A Fireball is being played, not able to delete any of the Digimon as none of them are 3,000 or less. And it looks like they're going to finish off their turn by placing an Akari and a Dorulamon. Once again, not strong enough to actually get rid of one of the Blue Flare Digimon. So at this point, they have 4 on their side of the field, and with 1 security left on the Shoutmon player side of the field, the Decker Greymon is going to swing in, triggering again, having that many Digimon on the field, they are going to be able to strip away sources, stop a blocker from blocking, and unsuspend all at the same time. So it looks like the Ballistamon is going to take that hit, getting saved underneath the Akari, and then Decker Greymon swings in again, hitting a Sunrise Buster just a little bit too late in the game. If this was earlier up on the security, it would have been great for the Shoutmon player, as they would have been able to advance their tamer count as well as get rid of some of these Digimon that have been plaguing them for the mid portion of this game. But it looks like Blue Flare has enough Digimon on the field that they're going to be able to swing through the blockers and finish off game number 2. So with that, we see the Greymon swinging in, and let's go into game number 3. Blue Flare is going to start off game number 3, hatching a Baby Demon in the back row and then Digivolving a Jamming Vmon on top of that. And it looks like they're going to pass their turn playing a Blazing Memory Boost, so it is going to give Shoutmon 5 memory, but they are able to fix their hand and find the cards that they need. Shoutmon's going to hatch a Pixmon in the back row and then Digivolve a Sparrowmon on top of that, and then going straight into the Taiki Kudo, using 3 of that 5 memory that they were giving, and also fixing their hand, but making sure that they're able to save Digimon from their sources and then be able to play them later underneath some of the X4 and the X5s. This start seems really good for the Shoutmon player, as they do have one of their main tamers on the field, and they actually are going to dig a little bit farther into their deck, leaving their opponent at 1, going with another Taiki, and looks like they're going to put a Delulumon underneath the Taiki from there. Passing the turn over to Blue Flare, they're going to promote the Vmon. Swinging in, it does have jamming, so it doesn't really have too much to worry about except for options. It does hit a Shoutmon King mode. Looks like they're going to pop the Blue Flare, Blue Memory Boost, and going into another Blazing Memory Boost, and this time they are able to hit their Memory Resetter as well as get the rest of the cards that they need to start putting on an offense with Metal Greymon. Sparrowmon gets promoted to the active area, and it looks like it's going to swing in on the Vmon so that it's not able to get any more free checks with its jamming, and that's going to clear up the field for the Shoutmon player. Continuing their turn, they're going to play a Hero of the Skies. This is going to let them draw 2 cards and really get to the rest of the sources that they need for their Shoutmon Digicross. And let's see what they play from here. Looks like they're going to go with the Akari, and that's going to let them play a Delulumon if they wish, but they're not going to, so this is going to leave the Blue Flare player with 3 memory. They do Digivolve into a Vmon on top of the Babitamon in the back row, and here we actually have a misplay. This Metal Greymon should cost 3, which should be putting the Blue Flare player down to 0 memory. It looks like they forget to do that, so that is going to be something that kind of affects the game. And then they pop the memory boost, so they actually should only be at 2 memory right now. They're not going to get any effects from the Metal Greymon. It does have Rush, and they are going to be able to stun the Sparrowmon, but they aren't going to get anything for the Male Bergermon or the Greymon that's underneath. And it swings in, hits an X4, and then the sources for that are going to be saved underneath the Kariha. So this Vmon actually should put them over into the Shoutmon player's turn with 1 memory. Both players are learning to play the decks and practicing, so this is just something that we missed in the playtesting. And then Blue Flare is going to go into the Blazing Memory Boost, looking at the top 6 and getting those 2 Blue Flare cards that they do need. So they are going to pull 2 of those, and that's going to leave the Shoutmon player with 3 memory at the beginning of their next turn. So they are going to be able to unsuspend the Sparrowmon, drawing into 1 card for the turn. They're going to hatch a Pixmon, and looks like that is going to be leading into a Shoutmon X5. So they probably were saving up their sources, not wanting to play too many Digimon onto the field, as Blue Flare really takes advantage of having your opponent having more than 1 Digimon on the field. So they were probably trying to keep that from happening. So they go into the X5, which is going to leave them with 1 memory, able to continue their turn, as well as draw a card off of the Akari from playing that from the hand, and it does have Rush because Shoutmon is underneath of it. So swinging in is going to check 2, it's going to be able to draw a card, and then with the Delulumon, everything is going to be minus 2k in security as well, but it looks like it hits a Plasma Decadra launcher, so this is actually going to send it back to the hand, and this is going to trash the Digivolution sources, which for Shoutmon is actually worse than the Digimon being deleted, and they're going to finish off their turn by playing an Akari. This is once again going to let them play a Delulumon, but it looks like they don't have one from hand. So at this point, the Vmon is going to get promoted, and then they're going to pop the Blazing Memory Boost so that they have 2 more. And then Vmon's going to swing in, first one hitting a Taiki, and that's going to let the Shoutmon player pick the cards that they need and start setting up for another X4 or an X5. And then the second Vmon is also going to swing in. This is going to reveal a Sparrowmon, and because it has jamming, it is going to live through this. Blue Flare still has 5 memory on their side of the field right now, so they are going to play a Melbergermon, and with the Tamer in the back, they are going to be able to pull a Metal Greymon and bring that back to their hand. Then with the last of their memory, they're just going to play a Madoki Betamon for 3, passing the turn over to Shoutmon, who is quickly going to play a Crimson Blaze for 2, which is going to just delete the whole Blue Flare player's side of the field and still leave them with 1 memory for the turn, which they're actually going to be able to do some stuff with. So that was a great board wipe, able to get rid of a whole bunch of offensive Digimon, and then they're going to go into the Akari and then play a Delulumon from underneath one of their Taikis and then draw 3 cards from there. So it looks like they're really setting up for an X4 or an X5 play next turn. And the Baby Demon is hatched over on the Blue Flare player side of the field. They can go into Metal Greymon from here, and it looks like they are going to. We knew they had it in their hand as they had drew it from the trash a couple turns ago. So they are going to have Rush, and it is going to swing in after freezing the Delulumon, and this is going to bring the Tai and the Kari out onto the field. So they are going to gain some memory from this on the Shoutmon player side of the field, and it looks like they're just going to pass their turn. So they do have 3 security left, and the Delulumon is actually going to be suspended. The Shoutmon player is going to go up to 5 due to the Tai and the Kari, so they're just going to hard play the Shoutmon X4 using the Digicross ability. Let's see how many Digimon they put underneath of it. This is going to draw them a decent amount of cards with both the Tamers and the X4's ability, and it looks like they got a Ballistamon underneath, a Shoutmon, and then a Delulumon. So they are going to draw a total of 5 cards from just playing this Digimon and still have 2 memory left. So they Digivolve into a Sparrowmon in the back row. Just drawing the cards, it's friendlies. We did forget to draw the cards once they played the X4, but it looks like they have a decent amount of cards in their hand right now, and they are still able to swing. So let's see what they go for. It looks like the X4 is going to swing in and try and take out the Metal Greymon. But I think they realized that both of them are at 8k, so the piercing wouldn't work. So the first hit is going to hit the Sora Takanuchi and the Joe Keto. At that point, they're going to use the X4's ability and save those Digimon Digivolution sources underneath the Taiki. And this should be another X4 or an X5 showing up. So this Shoutmon X5 hits the field, and now they have all the cards that they need to make this super cheap. We see the Sparrowmon, Ballistamon, Delulumon, and it has a Shoutmon underneath to give it Rush, and then the Starmons to make it free. So they are going to be at 0 memory for this, being able to swing in with Piercing, check 2, and then also have Reboot, so they will have a blocker on their next turn. So the Shoutmon players actually are in a really good spot right now, and it looks like they're deciding at the moment what they want to do. So they are going to swing in. They do swing in and delete the Metal Greymon and have Piercing, but I think a misplay happens here as a Delulumon should reduce that Decker Greymon by 2k. And so the X5 actually would have lived at that point, as well as they could have suspended the Tai and the Kari as well to reduce the security even more. So this is actually a pretty game-affecting thing, as they would have a blocker this turn because it would still be alive and have checked that last security. So once again, both of the players are learning the decks and practicing with them, BT-10 being a new set, and just remembering to look at the card effects and see what they actually do. But they are going to play the Green Tamer and get a Ballistamon out there for a blocker, and then play another Zenjiro and get another blocker out there. So they do have 2 Ballistamons that are out there able to block, and they're going to pass over the turn to the Blue Flare player, who is going to go up to 5 because they have a Digimon without a Digivolution source. They're going to Digivolve into a Gaussmon in the back row, and then from there just play a Metal Greymon directly from their hand. So this is only going to cost 3. With its ability, it's able to freeze 2 Digimon, or up to 2 Digimon from blocking, and then they're going to swing in, ending game 3. Well, Tamers, I hope you enjoyed that video. It is so much fun playing in BT-10 and deck building, and I cannot wait until EX03 comes out. So if you did enjoy that match, please like and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help. I do have a question that you guys can answer in the comments. Would you be interested in seeing more scaled down, or what I like to call decoded videos that are a bit more gameplay with a little bit less overlay, just commentating on what is going on in the match, interspersed with the way that the videos are now? If you do, let me know, and if you don't and just like the way things are, please let me know in the comments as well. So until next time, let's get that gate closed.